Welcome, my name is Jonathan, and this is a practice with long holds. About 20 years ago in my grade 12 provincial exam, that's one of the important exams before going to university here in Canada, for English, which was a subject I wasn't that great at. I can barely string a sentence together now. I hadn't been doing that well, but I actually did really well in this provincial exam. And the poem that we had, it was clear to me right away that it was the transformation and metamorphosis of a butterfly. And anyways, when a butterfly is actually coming out of its chrysalis as a new butterfly, it struggles and has to push and break and get out with its wings as it struggles. And if you happen to just be like, "Ooh, Mr. Butterfly, I'll give you a little bit of a break and I'll open things up for you, just make it a little easier," it actually will end up resulting in the death of the butterfly, because the struggle is what builds the strength of the wings for the butterfly to fly. And of course, it's so easy in hindsight to look at things that we struggle with, the challenges we have, as our opportunities to grow, to learn, to literally build the strength needed for us to fly for success off of the mat. But it's the truth, and it takes a profoundly wise person to see that the struggle is actually sometimes the purpose of life, to actually grow, expand, to change and metamorphosize. So please sit up tall, join your hands together, take a big breath in, and a big breath out. Open to the possibility that after this practice, you may transform phenomenally, spectacularly. Okay, please start in downward facing dog. I have my watch with me to keep us accountable. And whenever I practice just on my own for a long period of time, I use a watch, and it just holds me accountable to the pose I'm in and also to the length of time I'm planning to practice. Because if it's up to me to just flow around, I do that for a minute or two and then I get bored. Different if I'm being led by someone. Here in downward facing dog, just take a moment to bend one knee and extend your other heel towards the floor. And then do the opposite. Bend your other knee and extend your other heel. Then continue that where you go back and forth, what is often called walking the dog. As you do that, notice if the weight in each hand changes. You'll either learn to love or loathe the sound of the watch. So that's 1 minute in the pose. It's long holds. It's not 1 minute holds. So holding downward facing dog for 2 minutes, a great way to build strength. Allow your chin to drop slightly. With your knees bent, tilt your sit bones up into the air. Push the feet away from each other. Push your hands away from each other. Feel more strength in your arms and your legs. And then begin to push your hands forward as you extend your legs straighter. And I add some sound effects with my voice just to increase the realness of the stretch for me. Pushing, lengthening, and reaching. Okay, holding strong. Inhale, come to plank position, the top of a push-up. Pause and hold here. Actively push down with your hands. Look forward. Push your hands away from each other. Breathe deeply. You're welcome to breathe in and out through your mouth, just to hold the face a little bit softer. It's hard to give much more encouragement here because I'm just trying to get through this myself. So to build the strength, we have to go through the challenges. And sometimes that challenge is 1 minute plank directly after 2 minutes of downward facing dog. And then lower all the way down to the floor. Point your toes back, lift your hands to hover, and then lift up into low cobra position, where you're just pausing and holding the position, building the strength. So not necessarily about going for pure flexibility here, just lifting up, finding strength in the back. If you'd like to also lift your feet up as well to increase more strength for the low back, please do so. And then now hands under your shoulders, lower your feet and rise up into high cobra. Move your shoulders back, look forward, and then on an exhale, push back to downward facing dog. Not a long hold here, just step your feet forward into a standing forward fold position. Bow over your legs. Then inhale, lengthen your spine, lift up halfway. And exhale to fold in. Place your hands to your hips, elbows to the sides, and inhale, slowly rise all the way up to stand. Lean over to your right foot and lift your left knee. Hold your knee with both hands. You're always welcome to make things a little more challenging by bending your right knee. You could always hold under your thigh, extend your legs straight. Trust me when I say you might not want to do that. With your hands holding your knee, pull your knee towards your hip socket. Push the knee into the hands. Use that to stand up taller, which might not necessarily mean straighten the right leg, but just lift through the crown of your head and lift your rib cage. 15 more seconds to reach 1 minute. Doesn't mean you are getting anything for free on this one. It may be easier to have your right leg straight. And now place your left foot to your upper inner thigh for tree pose. And then please join your hands together in front of your heart. So going from one balance to another, holding strong, push your hands firmly into each other until your arms become engaged. I probably don't have to encourage the right leg to be engaged. If it is a challenge, you're always welcome to go hand to a wall. Now, if you're feeling a little bit more sprout, you're welcome to reach your arms up into the air. You could always go back behind you. It doesn't matter. It's the right leg that will be working hard here. Breathing deeply, holding strong. It's only going to get harder. Swing your left leg back behind you, tilt forward, and bring your arms alongside you. I just about went down there. Airplane pose. This is the last of the three. 3 times 1 minute is 3 minutes balancing on the same foot. Option to go globe hands in front of you. The true version of this pose is Warrior 3, but I'm going to say go easy on yourself because this one is tough. Down to the last 20 seconds. Hold strong. Breathe deep. Nothing fancy here. We're literally going to go into the second side right away. Last breath in. Lower your left foot down. Lift your right knee. Ooh, that wasn't easy. Why did you make us do that? So just a basic balance. Standing tall. If you bend your standing leg throughout this, you will increase your strength capacity exponentially. immeasurably, like really a lot. But of course, it then adds to the challenge. So you might feel that with your right leg, especially your calf muscle or your ankle muscles. But of course, that's great to build that strength. It's great for aging, to have fall prevention, to be able to like stumble and then stay up, or to actually literally stumble, fall to the ground, and just lift into Wild Thing. Now, place your right foot to your upper inner thigh, tree pose, second side. I sometimes like to go globe hands position, where you touch the tips of the fingers together. It's a little more sensitive of position. I've also practiced guitar the last few days, so it's funny because the right hand feels fine, but the left fingers feel a little dull and hard to feel. Looking forward, breathe deeply. Again, you're always welcome to grow your tree, to move around, wobble. Again, the movement, the struggle is what builds the strength. It's our movement that helps us calibrate and center. And then last one, swing your right leg back behind you, tilt forward, bring your arms alongside you. If you have the capacity to literally look at your left foot as you balance, just look down there, and it's not necessarily going to be completely flat and still. There's going to be movements. Try to dig in with the right toes. Again, you could have the arms alongside you. You could have your hands clasped behind your back, arms forward. Globe hands, hands to your front thigh. It's really not the point. The point of the challenge is, of course, in the legs. Option to create a little bit of a pulse. Down to the last 10 seconds. Hallelujah. Okay, did it. And then sit down into a squat position. This class is great, isn't it? Just holding poses. How long are we gonna hold squat? So, two options. One is to go for an extra minute, so 2 minutes in a squat. The other option is going for crow pose, Bakasana. 1 minute is borderline crazy, so balancing on the hands for 1 minute. The timer's arbitrary, your body, specifically your wrists, are not, so rest as needed, but we're seeking to build strength, so seeing how far of the minute you can go. So setting yourself up in 3, 2, and 1, and then 1 minute for crow pose. We'll see how it goes. I can't see my watch as I do it. Pulling the knees in gets more lift up of your hips. It's also a lot more strength for your arms, so hard to hold the position. You have to find a place where there's a little bit of a balance. I don't think I have the capacity for 1 minute. We will see here. This is where I wish the timer was going a little bit faster. Those of you in squat have chosen wisely. That 2 minute down dog didn't help. Literally shaking out in my body right now. The commentary is helping me get through this. Okay, feet down, nicely done. Standing forward fold, straighten your legs and bow over your legs. Holy. Option to hold opposite elbows and then offer a little sway from side to side. Okay, and then place your hands to your hips. Inhale and slowly rise all the way up. Step wide with your feet. And then wide is generally defined as feet as wide as your wrists. I'm going to prep a block up as a possibility for triangle pose. You may also use it for side angle. Turn your right foot in a little bit. Turn your left foot out 90 degrees. And then going to adjust pocket. Bend into your left knee for warrior two pose. One thing I often do is lift the outer edge of my back foot. It's just something I do. I just feel it's more stable than having the foot flat, which is counter to what is commonly taught. But it's also not taught to hold crow pose for a minute. I do things a little differently. Staying strong, pull your feet in towards each other. This is going to challenge the left leg first quite a bit. The reason I love timed holds is it gives you appreciation of the strength that's required. It can allow you to actually get deeper into the stretch component of poses as well, just by holding the position. To be more efficient in the practice, efficiency equals effectiveness. Left forearm to your thigh and reach your right arm long. It is a long series of poses here. So if you bring your hand down to the floor, just know that you're challenging yourself extra. Holding strong. You're always welcome to lift and spread your toes to feel that strength. And then settle further into your front leg. Actively reach and extend your arm. Lift your chin and twist your torso from left to right. Okay, last 10 seconds here. And then place your right hand to your hip. Push your left leg straight. Either put your hand to your shin or ankle. This is where I like to use the block. And then twist to the right and reach your right arm up into the air for triangle pose. So just find what works for you. Actively push your feet away from each other. Push your hands away from each other. Get your chest open and wide. Keep your chin lifted so that the breath comes easier. And I did say warrior two, side angle, triangle, but there's more. Wait, there's more. It's like infomercial. What's it gonna be? You will find out after this beep. Okay, one more breath in. Go right hand to your hip. And we're moving for half moon pose. So move your left hand forward. Push off your right foot. Lift it into the air. Balancing left hand, left foot. I'm using a block just to make things more accessible. It's a long hold. It's tough enough already. There's always ways to make things more interesting if you want to grab your foot and kick your foot back into your hand, turned to the right as well. And then option, of course, to just keep the arm up in the air, foot up in the air, breathing deeply, holding strong. After this one, it can help to have some wall here. So slowly come down and then rise up to stand. Up to you. You can go forearm plank. That's just plank on your elbows. You can turn to face the wall. to hop up with handstand as the backstop. I'll just show a little bit easier. It's hard to hold this one for a minute, but it's to start with your back to the wall. Make sure to tuck in the shirt to keep things G-rated. Well, at least with my muscles, it might be PG rated. I'll set the timer up. I'm just going to walk the feet up a little bit. I won't walk in all the way. But those going for 1 minute. Steady, ready, set. Set and ready is the same thing. Go. 1 minute starts. So, this is it. Just pausing here to build strength, allowing the head to dangle. I'm not necessarily seeking to hold the position in a balanced way at this moment in time. It's just building strength and building capacity. Notice where the weight of the hands go. Actively claw down with your finger pads and also with your knuckles as well. Hold strong. Push your arms straight. Breathe deep. And then slowly come down. Rise to stand. And then open your feet wide again. If you used a block, it's going to be at the back of your right heel this time. Turn your left foot in. Turn your right foot out. Bend into your right knee. Warrior two pose. Second side. Settle into the front leg. In general, to balance out the body, when there's a back leg and a front leg, balance out in the sense of the back of the pelvis. When the back leg is back, see, English not my strength, the left sit bone gets closer in towards the midline. So the back leg, you actually have to rotate your left thigh in to make more space. When the front leg is front, you have to tuck under with the right butt cheek to actually move the right sit bone closer in towards the center to seek a little bit more balance. Setting up for side angle, left hand to your thigh, right forearm to the front thigh, and then twist to the left, move your left shoulder back, and then swing your arm long, actively extend. Lift your chin. Breathe deeply. Settle in lower. Pull your feet towards each other. Embrace the strength. Embrace the power. The next pose after our series, we still got triangle and half moon, is another opportunity to go to the wall. If you don't have a wall, you don't have to use the wall, of course. It'll just be a different pose for you. You can always use a door. Just make sure that the door closes and it doesn't open. Left hand back to your hip. Push your right leg straighter. Twist towards the left. Move your shoulder back. And then reach your arm up into the air. Actively push your feet away from each other. Keep your chin lifted. Breathe deep. Really just revolves around just watching me breathe. Oh, right leg's feeling it. Whew. Last 5 seconds. Let's see if I can get myself ready for it here. Okay, and then push off your right foot, lift your left leg up into the air. The struggle was real. That was not dramatic reenaction. That was not method. Actually, I guess it was method acting. It was like taking the role so seriously that my right butt cramped. Option to bend the left knee and grab hold of the foot. The fact that I think that it's going to get easier by continuing to hold the pose just goes to show how crazy I may be. Kick your foot back, hold strong, breathing deep. I'm now having regrets of foreshadowing the fact that we're going to the wall next. Also, I find that just talking relieves me of my nervous tension. When you just talk about things that don't mean anything. Okay, and then rise up to stand. Woo! Give the body a little bit of a shakeout. Okay, the attempt is going to be for 2 minutes of a wall sit. What's a wall sit? So when you sit at the wall with your hips at the height of your knees and your knees directly over your ankles. I used to teach grade 8s, and we had like a challenge between the other classes for like domination of who the better class was. And one of the challenges was who could do the wall sit the longest. And they made it past 10 minutes, which was just crazy. So 2 minutes, I think, is doable. We'll see how it goes. But it's sit down, knees over ankles, hips at the height of your knees, and timer begins. You're always welcome to cross one ankle over the other knee. You could read your newspaper or just look at your phone. The winners were the dancers and the martial artists. The soccer players, the basketball players all got beat out by the, I think the dancers and martial artists work their legs even more as kids, that is. I played soccer till I was about 13 or so, and I don't think I ever did a squat or anything, any type of lunge to strengthen my legs. Probably why I stopped scoring goals and then left. Coming up to the first minute, quadriceps are just like, hey, this is great. Just loving what you're doing for me here. Hold strong. You can take your head back. You could always add arms into this as well. Whew. When are we getting to those pigeon poses that are long? Oh yeah, that's going to be great. Going to be just fantastic. Turning into just watching me breathe uncomfortably. I feel like when you have to go to the bathroom, but there's no bathroom, you're on the bus. Gotta make it. Gotta make it. Bathroom humor. Okay, to come up, hands to the wall, push your way up. Holy. Stand, just gonna move the block out of the way near the front of your space. And then feel a flow after an incredible amount of strength. So inhale, float your arms up. Oh. Exhale, dive forward. Oh. Halfway lift, lengthen your spine. And then plant your hands and step back to plank pose, top of a push-up. And then from there, on an exhale, lower down. Point your toes back. Inhale, rise for your back bend. And then push back to downward facing dog. From here, slide your right shin forward, I promised, for pigeon pose. Move your left foot further back and have your left leg straight to the long edge of the mat. Up to you whether you tuck your toes or point your toes, and then lower down onto your elbows. And I think that it's nice to actually have the right hip lifted. Also someone that doesn't believe that the front shin has to be parallel to the front edge of the mat. In fact, if you're going to do the back bend version, it's having the shin at a 45-degree angle. Which of course is a great reminder that for some of us, we get stretches in poses like this for me. But if someone's quite flexible, they may not get a stretch, which is a little challenging when it's a less intense pose, but one where you can then, instead of focusing on a stretch, harness your attention towards strength. Okay, this will be a 2-minute hold. You can stay here, or you can make it a little bit of a change where you just move your hands over to the right, put your left elbow down to the edge of your mat, make a fist twist, and then wrap your right hand over top of the left. Add a twist to your pigeon. We call it pigeon twist. Okay, last 10 seconds here. There'll be a little bit of time before we go to the second side. So if you'd like to do a flow, you're welcome to. Right hand down, push your way back, tuck your toes, and press back to down dog. Inhale and come forward to plank. Lower down halfway or all the way. Inhale for your back bend, and then press it back. Slide your left shin forward. Again, option to move your right foot further back, keeping the leg straight to the long edge of the mat. And then 2 minutes begins. And in general, in most poses, it's a good idea, in my opinion, to just look in the same direction as your heart, which you could say is just following your heart. So instead of looking forward and lifting your chin and compressing the back of your neck, or the opposite, which I struggle with because I always want to see how my six-pack is doing, where you tuck your chin in and then stretch the back of your neck at the expense of closing the front of your throat. Just look in the same direction as your heart, and if you close your eyes and just explore what position feels best, say most of the time it probably will be just that neutral position of your neck. Okay, and then twist over to the left. So it's right elbow to the edge of your mat, make a fist, and then wrap your left hand over top. And it's a little more precarious. So of course, if that's the case, by adding the twist, you may have to also encourage the strengthening through the balance, pulling your knees towards each other. Pop the hips up a little bit higher. Breathe fully. Okay, and then come out of the pose, and this time it'll just be a seated position. I'll use a block here to sit on, but talking about butterflies, so a common one in kids yoga, it's just called butterfly pose in kids yoga, Baddha Konasana. Join the bottoms of your feet together, open your knees out to the sides. And this pose is always a humbling pose to me because the knees just don't go down. The furthest I ever got them down was actually two teachers, both with straight legs, just literally pushed their feet into my right butt and my left butt from the side. And then that allowed my knees to open quite a bit, but I thought it was a little extreme. It'd be quite funny to go to a drop-in yoga class and have like two assistants that you bring as a student to just adjust you throughout class. I think that would create quite the scene. So the first minute is just having fun here. If you have a block, you're always welcome to try things a little differently. So I'm just going to come off of the block to show that. So one is you could put the block between your feet just to change the angle of your position. One version that's not super effective for me is to actually put the feet up onto a block instead. That just changes things. But you're always welcome to just try, and it can be just nice to change the rotation and angle of your thigh bones in your hip socket, just to shift things. The feet touching the block like this, squeezing it in, is called omega pose. So you make that like omega shape, like Lululemon. Okay, now lie on your back. We'll do 1 minute of a back bend and then quite a bit of a resting position that can help if you have a block, or pardon me, a strap or a belt. Block is useful for the back bend as well. So setting up, it'll be option to go for Urdhva Dhanurasana for 1 minute, or you can go for bridge for 1 minute, or since I'm teaching, I get to pick. You can just put your hips on a block for a pretty mellow bridge, because it's a long hold. 1 minute in wheel is a long time. So we'll get going in 3, 2, 1. Lift yourself up. 1 minute begins. If, of course, you're in bridge, it's a little bit more accessible to go for one-legged versions, especially if your hips are on a block. I often love to just make the hips super heavy so that the belly can release a little bit, and then bring one knee in and extend the leg up into the air. And then switch to the other side if you're doing the one-legged position. Okay, and then come down. Nicely done. Now, before a nice rest, we'll do some mellow work with Supta Padangusthasana. And that could either be holding your big toe with your peace fingers, holding the back of your thigh, or looping your foot with a strap or a belt. And then timer begins. Limitation for me is actually going to be the wall. I might be just a little bit too close for comfort here. Up to you with your other leg. So I've looped my right foot up. With the left foot, you could have it flat like bridge pose, or you can slide it long. The advantage of flat is it's just a little bit easier on the back. You don't have to strain so much for the front thigh. And I just say, if I could make a point, we've already strained enough. There were some intense moments in practice today. For some who've been practicing for years, that might be the first time that you did a lot of those. 3 minutes of balancing on one foot, 2-minute wall sit, 2-minute down dog. Okay, now hold the strap just with the left hand And then you don't actually have to go that far. You can just move the left leg over to the side, or pardon me, the right leg. I've got the wrong leg. Right leg over to the left, just enough that you still keep the right butt almost down. And then that just isolates the stretch for the outer thigh. And if you want to make it a bit more intense, you can always bend your knee, move your knee closer to your upper body, and then push your legs straighter from there. Whew. Okay, and then hold the strap in your other hand. I'm just gonna have to tilt a little bit to make space. Rotate your right leg out to the side slightly, and then open your leg out to the side. And it might actually be a bit easier if you have your leg straight to counterbalance the left leg. Again, if you're holding your foot or big toe, you may have to bend your knee to do that. I do know some people who will put a block under their outer right ankle to prop up the foot. Remember back in the old days when you practice beside people, I'd even have people like hold other people's ankles, or even put the hands to the bottom of the feet as something to push out against. Looking back on that, my only reaction is, ew, gross. That's so gross. Okay, and then come on up. And then the nice thing about the strap is it's pretty easy to switch to the second side. You just loop up the other foot and then pull down. You could hold the strap with both hands on this first go. I try to pull the leg straight down into the hip socket so that the back of the pelvis gets heavier. The low back gets light enough to lift slightly. And as we go into a bit more of a quiet period of time, in a way our own little chrysalis, maybe contemplate an area in your life that you're struggling with now or recently struggled with. Hold the strap in the right hand, so opposite hand to the foot, and then open, or I guess cross your leg over to the side, but still do your best to keep your hips down. And then actively pull, not the strap down towards the floor, but from foot towards knee towards hip, that direction. And you can even look over the left shoulder. Hello. So just having you think about an area where it's been a bit of a struggle. It's not easy. We're not belittling that. It's just acknowledging that you're going through a hard time is a reminder of the strength that you develop when you go through those difficult times. And that can be physical strength, mental strength, emotional strength. Hold the strap, same hand, same foot, open your leg out to the side this time. So same side as the leg, option to have the right leg longer, in this case for me. I do find that it is a little bit easier in terms of the counterbalance if the leg is straight. I know some of you are like, 2-minute wall sit, 1 minute crow, 1 minute crow. Okay, and then bring your leg up. Okay, now hug both knees into you. Thank goodness. And nothing fancy here, just winding it down for Shavasana, final resting pose. And slow down your breath. Let go of any tension. Untuck your shirt. Move your head side to side. And just relax.